So here's a question for you. If you are building a business as a service provider, maybe in the wellness space as a coach or a health professional, then is your website doing the job you need it to be doing? Specifically, is it attracting the right people and really making that true connection with them so that they know that you are the right person for them? Because I have to tell you, having a nice looking website or a pretty site or whatever, that's really not enough. So, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Kim Foster, and I'm an MD turned coach and wellness expert. And I'm also the founder of the Wellness Coach Academy, where I train the next generation of wellness coaches and help them launch and grow freedom based businesses that make a huge difference in the world. And so, when it comes to websites, your website is very important when building your business. But honestly, you're going to be wasting a lot of your efforts creating and maintaining your website if it is just not doing what you need it to do. So, how do we make sure that our websites are set up the right way? What needs to go onto a website that is doing the work of attracting your dream clients and bringing them along a journey towards becoming an actual client or a customer? What are some of the things that we can do when we're building our websites to optimize for this right from the get go? Or what do we need to change if we already have an existing site? So, to answer all of these questions and more, today I'm chatting with Jenny Belanger, who is the CEO and creative director of Jenny B Designs, a website design studio. So, Jenny helps entrepreneurs and small businesses to build websites that communicate and connect with their visitors and attract their ideal clients. Jenny has a background in nonprofit and corporate marketing and communications, and she's been designing websites for 20 years. And today we get to pick her brain about all her experiences and the wisdom that she has gained when it comes to website function and design. So let's dive in. Well, hey, Jenny, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kim. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I am really excited for today's conversation because we are going to be talking all about websites, which I know is something that the people in my audience who are building their businesses just have so many questions and struggles about. I mean, not everyone in my audience is growing a business, but if you have watched or listened to the show before, then you know that I personally believe that building your own business is one of the most powerful ways of creating the freedom and flexibility in your life that so many of us crave. And I think this is such an important part, actually, of taking control of your life and your lifestyle. So, yes, even if you are just considering starting a business someday, you're definitely going to want a website. So, this conversation is going to be very helpful. Because, Jenny, I think that you're going to share with us some of your ideas about how to transform your website into a client attracting machine, right? Which I love because I love this whole idea. If you've got, if you as a listener or a viewer are have a way of helping people out there, like let's say you're a wellness coach or a health professional or a service provider of some sort, there are people out there who you can help. But if they can't find you, then you're not going to be able to help them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about creating an online experience that guides them to the first step in the process to become a client with you. So, absolutely, your website is a critical piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so before we get into everything though, let's just give our audience a bit of context. So, Jenny, I would love for you to just tell everyone a little bit about what you do, and a bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jenny Belanger. I am a wife and mom to two kids, and I live in Reading, Massachusetts. I own Jenny B Designs. We are a web design studio, and we work primarily with female CEOs who are busy running their business, managing their team, and are ready to scale. And we do this by building really strategic, but also beautiful websites that are designed to book more ideal clients and make you money. I love working with creative entrepreneurs. I work a lot with those in the health and wellness industries and beauty brands. And it's just about getting you set up online so that you can have freedom that your business allows and that you can transform these visitors into clients and make money with your website.
Exactly. That's perfect. I mean, that's exactly, I mean, I love all of the things that you said. And the brands that you work with are fantastic. The businesses and the brands and you just do such beautiful work. So let's get into today's topic. I want to start by asking you, why your website is so important as a business owner. I mean, especially in this day and age of with social media. Tell me, what are your thoughts on the importance and role of a website?
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it right. Like this age of social media, everyone's online. Your website's so important. You own your website. On your website, you're able to control the narrative and it can never be taken away with you. And social media is really important. We're on it every day. And it needs to be kind of a piece of the puzzle that drives traffic to your website. I remember the Instagram outages and all those social media platforms that go down, or if for some reason you get locked out of your account and you can't get back in, you're losing, your audience. And the goal of your website is to have people get on there so that they can get in touch with you and, get invested in your program. So it's so important to have an online presence that works for you around the clock 24/7. I have had a lot of people say, they're just on social media. They don't really have an online presence. And they have said, I'm making money. I'm selling in the DMs. But I might suggest that they consider how much time that they're actually spending in the DMs, going back and forth, answering questions and directing them to the next step in the process when you could be sending someone to your website and the website would be doing all that heavy lifting for you and just guiding them to the next step in your process. So I think social media is important, but it is a tool to drive people to your website in order to get people to take the next step with you.
Yeah, I love thinking about it like that. That it's a tool for drive. It's a useful tool. It's definitely, we're not saying that it's not useful, but thinking of it not so much as the only mechanism for connecting with people, but that really it's kind of a stopping point. And the main goal of those connections on social media would be to get people, to send people and drive traffic to your website, because and that's where all the good stuff is going to be. And I also feel like with social media, it's kind of like haphazard. It's like a patchwork. You might see a post about, this little piece or this little piece, but your website has got the whole picture. It's like everything that you're about, everything that you do, all in one place, and really can function as a salesperson 24/7 for you, rather than you being in the DMs like answering these questions that probably same questions come up over and over. So I love thinking of it like that, like you described. It's a tool, you can use it, but it's driving people to your website, which is ultimately where they're going to get everything that they need to know about whether you're the right person to work with or not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So what are some ways that you can share that, when people get to your website, what do people need to do? Like, how do you need to set your website up so that your website connects with the right people, connects with the visitors who arrive there, and then move them through so that they will actually become clients? Tell us about some of the strategies that people can use on their websites.
Sure. I have five main strategies that I like to put into a website build. And the first one is when someone lands on your website, you have less than 3 seconds to really capture their attention. So, right above the fold, I always suggest, if you're a personal brand, having a photo of yourself. And then you want to be really clear and state who you are, who you help, and how they can take the next step with you. I'm going to flip over to your site because you are a prime example of this. You have a beautiful, welcoming picture of yourself, and you say, I'm Kim, and I'm on a mission to help you live a healthy, beautiful, vibrant life. And then you say, I help women build thriving health coaching businesses with ease and elegance. And there's a button, learn more. You have all the components, the photo, the headline, the subheadline, and then the most important, that call to action to take the next step. And if you have a website, this is the most important piece in my mind to get right. And if you're building a website, if you have a newer business, then this is something that you should be focused on, really getting that landing right so that you can have people take the next step with you in their journey on your website.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good point, because I mean, it's a matter of seconds, right? That you have to capture somebody and to capture their attention and to have them know, oh, I'm in the right place. I'm going to stay here and see what else I can find. Or this isn't really for me. Click away, right? So I love that. That's very simple, very straightforward. What you can do right above the fold. at the very top part of your homepage to really help people to know exactly where they have landed. Okay, so you said you had 5 strategies, right? So give us some more.
The second is to understand your overall goal of your website. You just don't just want a website to have a website. It needs to have a goal. What I mean by that for service providers, for me as an example, the first step in my process is to have someone schedule a consultation call with me. If you have a membership or a course, then it would be to buy that membership or purchase that course. Or if you are a product based business, it's to buy your products. So, understanding the overall goal of your website and then ensuring that your website actually does support that goal throughout every single page on that site. It's just really, you need to be really clear, why do you have this website? And then understanding that what you're directing people to do on that site.
Right. Okay. So making a clear call to action so that people know what they need, what you want them to do next. It seems like deceptively simple, right? But people, especially when they're landing somewhere that's brand new, it can be confusing and they're not really sure where to go. I've seen a lot of people have like a start here button or, something like that so that it's actually, you're just guiding them through to the journey that you want to take them on. So just give them the one step at a time. Like, what's the very next step? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, I am. You want it to be abundantly clear and you want it to kind of pass the mom test, if you will. But someone lands there, you just want them to know exactly what to do, what the next step is in the journey.
Wait, what's the mom test? Why? How does that play? Tell me about that.
Well, if you, my mom is probably not the most tech savvy.
Mm,
Someone who's not, super tech savvy, have them, or a child test. Have someone
okay.
get on your website and do they understand what you want them to do next? And if they do, then you've done your job well.
Okay, right. So somebody who is like uninitiated to your world and like to the
Yeah,
online
yeah,
business or whatever, just somebody who
yeah,
is maybe new to all of this stuff. And so then if they
yeah,
are clear on what they're supposed to do, um, when they land on your website, then you've made it nice and clear. Okay, that's great.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what's next? What are some other things that people can do?
I would suggest ensuring that your navigation, that top bar on your website with all your nav options, is clear and concise and as few as possible. For service providers, I like to see 5 or less. So usually I'll say, your about page, your services, contact. And then if you need to have another one, if you have a blog or if you have freebies, you could put it under a resource option. But I like to stay under 5 if possible. And if you have your home as an option, you can remove that as well because people know when they click on your logo that they're taken back to your home. Every time you remove an option, people have a greater understanding where you want them to go and what's there becomes more prominent. So I suggest keeping your top navigation as streamlined as possible. If you have testimonials, sometimes I see this FAQs or testimonials or all those other pages. You can still have those pages. Those are wonderful, but don't include them in your top navigation. Add them to your footer or add them to a section in your website where someone will want to learn more about you. If they're on the services page and you have a few testimonials, but you have a whole other page, you can link at that part of their journey. So just really keeping your top navigation as streamlined and as simple as possible also makes a huge impact on conversions and driving clients to your inbox.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I think it really speaks to the whole concept of like when people are really confused about where to find what they're looking for, they're not going to spend the time to sort of experiment and play around and search through and sift through all of your stuff to find what they're looking for. If they can't find it, then they're going to go somewhere else, most likely, and find it somewhere else. So that's such a good point about having just those very minimal items on your top menu bar. And the other thing that I like to, tell me what your thoughts are on this is using like standard language, right? Not getting all kind of fancy and clever because most websites are built using very standard language. And so if you've spent any time online and looking at different websites, you will have found those same kinds of labels for the things that you're looking for. And so it's just helpful and reassuring to be able to know where to find what you're looking for. So just don't get all resist. I mean, this is what I think is don't resist or resist the temptation to get all fancy and cute with your headings for your menu items. Just use the standard ones like about, contact, all that kind of thing. But what are your thoughts on that, Jenny?
Yeah, clear over clever is what I say.
Yes.
You'll see this a lot of times when people have a blog. They want to give the blog like some fancy, fun name. But when someone lands on your site, they don't really understand what like midnight musings mean. Like they understand what a blog is, right?
Right.
So like when they click
Yeah.
that, they'll get there. And you can have that fun title when they get to the blog, but keep your navigation just really clear and simple so that people just understand what they're getting and it makes the user experience much, much better.
Yeah, I like that. And also, you've given me a good tip that I think after this conversation, I'm going to go and make a little tweak to my website because I do have that like client success, like testimonials page in my menu bar. And I think you might be right. Like, I think it might be just cluttering things up. I mean, it's important information. I want that information to be out there. And there's definitely people who are interested in looking at that page, but I think I need a different spot for that, not the top menu bar. So you said maybe in the footer or maybe as like a link on a page where, um, thinking about who is actually going to want to see that client testimonial information and where, like, so what, thinking about what page they're on when they would actually need that information.
Yeah, I would say add it to your footer. Your footer is great real estate that people sometimes forget about. It's going to be on every single page. And then add it to your sales pages. So, where you are talking about your programs, this is where you're trying to sell people. You probably have a few testimonials there. You can always add a button that says read more testimonials, and then you can have them read more. What I would say on that is if you were going to do that, I would have that open up to a new tab to read more testimonials because you don't want to like drive, they're on the sales page, right?
Right.
To buy your thing. And so you want them to actually take action. So they can read more testimonials, but if they X out of there, they're still on your sales page. So they never lose that sales page. That would be my like added tip of how I would do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because, yeah, I was thinking that as you were saying it because I don't really, and if you're thinking about, um, you know, talking to people, or once people are on your sales page and they're really looking at your program, your offering, whatever it is that you are selling, if it's a membership, it's a course, it's a coaching program, whatever, you really want them to stay there, consume that information, and then take action on that. But yeah, if you want them to be able to see your testimonials, then giving them that option to go to your page, but in a new tab so that they're not actually leaving your sales page. That's perfect tip. Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
I kind of lost track of like because you said that you had 5 different strategies. Where
I think I have two. I have two
okay, 2
more.
more. Awesome. Okay.
Two more. The next one is include photos of you,
Mm,
branded photos of you. It does so much for your know, like, and trust factor. It truly does. A lot of times, when people are starting out in business, sometimes they're hesitant to have too many pictures or pictures of all at all of themselves on your website. But if you're a personal brand, it builds so much credibility to be able to open up someone's website and to see that person looking back at you. I sometimes think when I land on a site that I don't actually see the person who owns it or who's running it, I question, who's behind this and what
right.
are they all about? And so it's really important to have pictures of yourself. If you can invest in a branding shoot so that you have that cohesive look and feel throughout the site, that's top notch. But if you can't, we all have pretty sophisticated phones
Right.
and you can stage something to really come across as the professional you are. So my second to last tip would be to incorporate photos of yourself that really show you in action so that people can get a true feel of who you are as a person and behind the business.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, I look at a lot of websites, like early websites of the coaches that I'm mentoring or the students in my program. And I see their early websites and before they start working with me. And I am surprised actually at how few people have a photo of themselves on their website. Like it seems like a really obvious thing, especially if you're providing a service and you're a coach or a nutritionist or, service provider. And I think that this must be like a fear of visibility or something, or, something along those lines, because it's amazing how many people make this really simple mistake of just not having a photograph of themselves on their own website. Like, it's a personal brand. You really do need to show people who you are. Otherwise, it's just kind of creates that confusion of like, is this a corporate website, or is this like not real? Like, is this some kind of, it just creates too much confusion and uncertainty for people if they can see you, like you said, like looking directly at them, so they can see, look at your eyes and see you looking back at them. It just makes a huge, huge difference. I think. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you said it. I think it might be a mindset shift that people have to make from when they're starting out and then as they continue on in their journey. But it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, cool. So, what is tip number 5 then?
Tip number 5 is to incorporate, I call them irresistible freebies. A lot of people call them opt ins or lead magnets into your website. A lot of times people will come to your website. Actually, I read a stat. It was like 92% of people who come to your website aren't actually ready to buy.
Mm.
That's okay, but we want to be able to have a way to continue the conversation with them. So, by offering an irresistible freebie or a lead magnet that has incredible value to them, that you are giving them something, and then in return, they give you their email address, you're allowed to continue that conversation and build that know, like, and trust factor and chat with them. I like to email my list weekly just to offer them value, because one day, eventually, they might have a problem that you're able to solve, and you'll be in their inbox, and they will think of you. So, a really important part of converting visitors to clients, in my opinion, is to incorporate some type of lead magnet or freebie into your website.
100%. I totally agree. And I'd never heard that stat before, that 92% of people who land on a website aren't ready to buy, but I totally believe it. Like, most of us, we're just sort of surfing around, looking at stuff, exploring, checking things out. And it's rare that somebody is going to be in the headspace when they first discover you and first land on your website that I'm ready to go on this. But you still need to be in control. Like, because if you just leave it up to them to remember to to circle back to your website when they are ready, it's not going to happen. They'll have found something else in the meantime, or, something along those lines. So it's about taking control. And also, what I like about that is, like, it's really, the focus then is on building your community, which is super important, is building that tribe, and growing your email subscriber list of people who have raised their hand. They're interested in what you're talking about. They might not be there yet in terms of working with you or buying something from you, but they're going to be eventually at some point. And so you want to be able to continue that conversation, exactly like you said, Jenny. So I love that. So having an irresistible freebie or lead magnet or an opt-in or whatever language you want to use, but something that they're going to want, that you're offering them for free in exchange for their email address, so that they'll be added to your list, and then you can communicate with them from there. So where do you suggest that people have that for opt-in button or link, or, tell where on the website do people need to encounter that?
Yeah. On your website, I always suggest a landing page for that freebie, because part of the whole process is promoting that freebie, because you want to get out there and be sharing it with people. You want to also include it on your homepage. So in my homepage, I have it midway down. I know you have it on your homepage as well. And then I also suggest adding it to your footer. I mentioned before, like, your footer is prime real estate. It's on every single page, so it will be always there for someone to sign up. And then finally, on your blog, a lot of times we put in a lot of effort, write all this content, start promoting it, and people don't always enter your website through your homepage. A lot of times they're entering through a blog post. So on your blog post, it's important to have it in your sidebar, or maybe at the end of your blog post. However, you can incorporate it into every single blog post that you create. That's a really good place to have it as well. Some people do pop-ups. I'm not a huge fan of a pop-up. Sometimes, they do work. People do sign up. Sometimes I find them a little bothersome, but it's kind of like up to an individual preference. But that's also another place that you could have that freebie available.
Yeah, agreed. I think that that one does come down to an individual preference because you're right, they do work. I mean, the stats that I've seen on them, they are effective for getting people to opt in. But I think most people that I talk to do find them kind of a nuisance,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
annoying. And so I guess as an entrepreneur, and this is one of the beautiful things about running your own business, is that you get to decide how you're going to conduct things and how you're going to show up online. And if this is something that feels in alignment for you, then go for it because it definitely is a great way of building your email list. And if not, then there's no rules that say that you have to use pop-ups. So I love to hear you as a website designer really to say that too, Jenny, that you can use them if you want to, don't have to use them if you don't want to. And there's other ways to build your list too. It doesn't have to be all dependent on pop-ups.
Yeah, yeah, whatever you're most comfortable with is I just like to see a brand represented as their truest self online. So whatever that is for you, that's how you should show up online.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so let me just recap. So those 5 tips that we talked about, right? That was,
Mhm.
well, actually, you recap because I don't
Yeah,
want
I'll recap.
to. Yeah, you go for it.
Getting your landing right above the fold, your hero section of your homepage in less than 3 seconds. You got to get that right. Understanding the overall goal of your website. Where are you driving people to? What's your end goal for all that traffic? Ensuring that your navigation is clear and concise and you have 5 options or less if possible. Including photos of you so that you have a cohesive branded look and feel. And then incorporating the irresistible freebie, that opt-in into your website is another way to build that know, like, and trust factor.
I love that. Those are all very doable tips. I mean, ultimately it would be quite a bit to change about your website if you didn't have all of those 5 elements. But really, what I always encourage people to do is just choose one. If you have an existing website, then just choose one piece of those, one of those strategies, and just work on that one, and then turn your attention to the next one. And by the time you've taken care of all of those ones, I mean, your website will be so much more strategic and really positioned to capture the interest and attract all the right people to your business. So I love that. That is so great, Jenny.
Yeah, if your listeners have 15 minutes today and they could only do one thing, I'm going
Yeah.
to give a quick tip. On the contact page, consider adding a photo of yourself.
Hmm.
This is where you're doing all the conversions. This is where someone's trying to get in contact with you to take the next step. Add a photo of yourself. That will again build that know, like, and trust factor. It's something really simple that you can do, and I think you'll see a difference in the conversions from that standpoint.
That is a great tip. That is just that's a good one. And really, exactly, like if you just have 15 minutes today, you just want to make one little change that's going to incrementally move the needle, then that's a totally doable one. So I love that. That's so helpful. I want to just shift gears just a teeny bit before we wrap up or before we start to wrap up, because this podcast is about wellness in general, not just about business, but because you said at the beginning, Jenny, that you're a mom of 2 and you're an entrepreneur, you're running a very busy business, like all of that stuff. So I would love to hear from you about what you do to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I ask everyone this. I did read in your bio that you're addicted to your Peloton. I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, sure. I've had this Peloton actually when my daughter was born. She's 6 now, so prior to the pandemic, and I used to actually enjoy early morning workouts, like getting it in before the day has gotten started, because we get so busy as entrepreneurs trying to do all the things. But recently, I've realized that morning isn't my best time. So what I've been doing is I've been scheduling like a meeting my Peloton workout into the day, and I've been making it happen. And I find like you have to schedule time, because if you don't schedule the time, you really won't do it. And so when I think about it as a meeting, I can make it happen. And that's what's been working for me for like the past few months. So I'm keeping at it, but it's a work in process. Yeah.
Well, and we all are a work in progress, like constantly. And I love that you used to do it one way, and that used to be your routine and your ritual, and do it first thing in the morning. But then, things change, right? We go through seasons, and we don't have to be stuck in like this is our ritual, this is what I have to do. If it's just not really working for you right now, then get creative and find a different way. But I absolutely support what you just said about like scheduling time for it. It's a meeting and it's a really important appointment that you need to have on your schedule to make time for yourself. Because, you're an online entrepreneur, so am I. It's so easy to just spend our whole day sitting at our desk and in front of a screen and, all that kind of thing. And the day can very easily get away from you. And then you realize, oh, I didn't actually do anything to move my body and to take care of myself. And so I love that. So you schedule it, it's an appointment that you have to keep, and that's working for you. So
Yeah.
that's just awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So, this has just been so great, Jenny, and you've just shared a lot of very useful and doable tips for our audience, things that you can do either, whether you have a website already for your business and you need to make a few tweaks to really optimize it, or whether you don't have a website yet and, so that you can do things right from the get-go. I think that all of the tips that you've shared with us are just going to be so beneficial. And it's just been such a pleasure talking to you. Before I let you go, of course, tell us where people can go to learn more about you and get in touch with you.
Absolutely. If you want to visit me at my website, jennybdesigns.com, I have two different freebies. I have a super fun website personality quiz that shares with you a few ways you can convert your audience more based on your personality. And then I have a freebie, Secrets of a Money Making Homepage, that has a few different tweaks you can make to your homepage. So definitely come visit me online. I have lots of other resources, and I love to see other entrepreneurs succeed online. So
I love that. Okay, that sounds great. Those are some good resources. I'll make sure that they're put in the show notes so that people can easily find you. So yeah, thank you so much, Jenny. This has been really fun.
awesome. Thank you, Kim.
Well, there you have it. I hope that conversation gave you fresh clarity about what your website needs to be doing for you and what you need to think about as you're putting your site together. And now I'm really curious, do you have a website currently? Are you proud of it, or do you have a bit of, website shame? And how confident are you that your website is doing the job you need it to be doing for you? What is the first thing you're going to do right now to tweak or fix your website so that it can be one step closer to being that client attracting machine that Jenny talks about? So let me know in the comments below this video, or if you're listening to the audio of this episode, then just find me on Instagram and let me know. I would love to continue the conversation about this. Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you again very soon.